Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, now PGA Tour winner, Andrew Novak.
What is up? What is up? It's been a big week. We had the NFL draft. We had some fun things happen on Sunday. Um, Glad to be back talking football.
I feel like we spoke that win into existence, honestly. I mean, every week it feels like we've been saying, like, dude, we're going to call you PGA Tour winner soon. Like, it's coming. It's coming. Finally came. Uh, Zurich Classic with Ben Griffin. We'll get into it in a second. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. New episodes Wednesdays, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to podcasts. Crazy excited for this episode. PGA Tour talk. Got College Football Analyst joining us. Let's get into it. Yeah, how did so you won the Zurich Classic this week with partner Ben Griffin, first win on the PGA Tour. How did you guys celebrate that win Sunday night? I mean, you guys were down in New Orleans. Got to be some cool places to go for that.
Yeah, we basically had a dinner reservation set up for us. One of the guys on the board was gracious enough to get us a spot at his restaurant, a famous place just off of Bourbon Street. We went and it was Maddie and I. We had some of Ben's team with us, and yeah, it was just a good, fun night celebrating down there.
Awesome. We're so pumped for you. You get the week off this week. Well deserved. For me, when I was watching, the biggest shot for you, it seemed like was on 17. Frankie Sapon just hit it left, put it in the
Sappin,
water. What's that?
Frankie Sappin,
Frankie Sappin.
the name
Man,
to remember. Kid can play.
he can play. I'm just having trouble with that last name, man. But he puts it left in the water on 17, and you're up. You hit a dagger in there, lands 6 feet from the hole, takes a large hop. You put your hand on your heart. What are you feeling in that moment?
I'm just glad it stayed on dry land. It took a big hop. There's a little mini downslope there, and it kind of scooted on off of that. If I had hit that shot before the weather delay, it probably would have stayed pretty close to the hole. But after the weather delay, those greens were getting brown, they were getting crispy, and it just kind of took off. But didn't matter. Ben sank it from there anyway.
Yeah, he did. All right. So Frankie Sappin, I saw his golf bag. He had a Minnesota Vikings logo on there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get into any talks with him about the Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah, we talked a tiny bit. More so, I talked with his caddy, who's a buddy of his, because the T Wolves were playing the Lakers.
Right.
So they were like watching that during the weather delay. But no, I didn't really talk Vikings. Vikings, they only had what, 5 picks in the draft,
Yeah, they had a
so
weird draft. We'll get into
not
it a
really a
little bit.
huge draft for them, but I think they did okay.
And then last thing I want to say, I've known you for about 10 years now. You're a Carolina guy, but the announcers on the TV, they were just saying it's a great day for Andrew because his Carolina Hurricanes got a win and
Yeah.
he's winning his first PGA Tour tournament. I cannot remember in 10 years you mentioning Carolina Hurricanes to me. How true is it that you love the Hurricane?
Oh, love the Hurricanes. I was born in Raleigh, man. You got to remember when we were in college, the Canes were awful.
I mean,
Like
our old roommate
unwatchable,
Grant. I
awful.
remember Grant loving the Canes, big hockey
Yeah,
guy. But
Grant and I watched the Canes a bit, but like they were so bad. But Grant wasn't a Canes fan though. Grant was an Islanders fan,
that's
so I would
okay.
chirp him a little bit from that. But yeah, no, definitely a Canes fan. But like, man, those were some tough years. Now, the last few years we finally got it going, but back in uh back in the mid-teens, it was rough times.
All right, so the announcers had it right there. Well, we're super pumped for you. Huge week, hottest guy on tour. I think 3-2-1 in your last couple PGA Tour finishes. Keep it going, like we said, well deserved week off. Let's get into some draft talk. Best draft. We're gonna start off. Go 3-2-1. You watched it this week. What do you got? Give me the best drafts in order from 3-2-1.
I'm very interested to hear where you go with this. Do you want me to start with three and go all the way through? Like,
Yeah,
how are
yeah.
we going
Let's
to do
lead.
this?
Let's lead some anticipation. Give me your three. Start with three and work it to one.
Okay, so first off, I'm going with your New England Patriots at three. I thought they did a fantastic job. It seems like a lot of people agree they did a good job. They stayed put at four, took Will Campbell. It's not, necessarily a surprise, maybe not even the splashiest pick, but he's exactly what you need when you have a young quarterback. He's going to keep Drake May upright. He's going to allow that offense to work. They loop back. They grab Travion Henderson in the second round, elite speed, playmaker. They've had Ramondre for a while. He's been a decent back with fumbling issues, but if he
Fumbling
cleans that
issues.
up, he's good short yardage, bruiser. He can get in the end zone. Travion's kind of the perfect lightning to that thunder. I think he allows this offense to do a lot of different things. Drake doesn't have to make a crazy play. He can dump it off 3 yards, and this guy can take it 70. Then next, they go with another dynamic speedster, Kyle Williams out of Washington State. Take the top off. This is exactly what you want. Drake May's got a cannon. He can take the top off if he can get in behind the defense. I think New England was missing that a little bit last year. Somebody with that kind of speed. They went out and got Stephon Diggs. Diggs doesn't quite have that gear anymore, but he works the underneath really well. This opens things up for that, stretches the defense. I think this was as good of a 3-pick start as you'll find, especially for a team that needs help for their young quarterback. They looped it around. There are a few picks later that I really like. Josh Farmer out of FSU, and I am a Miami fan. Out of FSU, I think he's a great player. They obviously had a down year, but he was a guy that was pretty highly thought of going into the year. Maybe with FSU's performance this year has dropped a bit, but I think he's a good playmaker for the defense. And also, I'll shout out Jared Wilson out of Georgia. Grabbed him as center. I
Yep.
think he's probably one of the safer center picks for this draft. I think that is an underrated piece to add for a young quarterback, somebody that can maybe help them diagnose a defense.
Who you got at 2?
At 2, I'm going the New York Giants. This is going to
Woo!
be, yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a
I
contentious
don't
thing.
have that on here, so let's hear what you got. Let's hear these reasons.
So I'm a huge Abdul Carter guy, first and foremost. Love Abdul Carter. I think he's a fantastic player. I think he's the kind of player that can literally win you games from the defensive side because all of a sudden he's got 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, maybe a defensive score, like just one of those crazy games where you can't do anything to stop him and just ruins an entire offensive game plan. They loop around. They grab Jackson Dart in the end of the first. This was something I called them trading back into the first round. Uh, I think Jackson Dart is like I think he is a wait and see. Like I think he is a guy that's drafted first round. I don't know if he even starts a game this year. Like I don't think they necessarily need him to start. Like I get the Dayball's been there a bit, but with this pick, I think Dart probably buys him 2 years instead of just 1 year, in my
Okay.
opinion, unless they rush him early and he looks awful.
Okay.
So it's in his best interest for him to basically let him sit behind Russ, whatever. Maybe the last few weeks of the year, if they're like really struggling, he'll come in. And if he shows flashes, probably buys him another year, whatever. But he's got 2 guys to learn behind. Russ and Jameis, cannot imagine a more different duo to be learning behind. Cam Scatterboo, a name that has come up a bunch. He's a playmaker. I think he allows this offense not to have to run through the quarterback. I know Tyron Tracy was good last year, but Scatterboo can handle a bigger workload. Tracy had some fumbling issues last year. Scatterboo is a little bit more.
Seemed like Tracy was more of the pass catching out of the backfield,
Yeah,
and
I don't
Scatterboom
think
might
he's
be
the
able to
guy
handle the
you
load.
would want
Yeah.
getting 20 plus a game. You know, if Tracy's getting 10 to 12 to 14 a game, but in dynamic situations like, you know, in space with a chance to do something with it, that's where you want him working. So I think that's a perfect fit. They got Mbo from Purdue. This was an offensive lineman that was graded out like second, third round by a lot of people. They got him in the 5th. That's great value. I think people were a little bit worried if he could play tackle. Is he going to play guard? I think the Giants probably have a bigger need at guard. I think that's a perfect fit for him. I think it's probably a safer fit for him. So I love what the Giants did. I think they were being aggressive. You know, teams are like, you know, trading up to grab this quarterback. Like that's great. If Dart pans out, nobody's going to care what you traded up to get him. Like the thing is like trusting yourself, going out and getting him. I like the move. I think the Giants did a fantastic job throughout this draft. So shout out to them.
All right, 2025 number 1 draft. Who you got?
And with number 1, I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks. I absolutely love what the Seahawks did. They, with the first 4 picks, took maybe the 4 best athletes at their position in the entire draft. Like just straight down the list. They start with Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. We were talking about him
Yeah,
last
we
week.
both had him going in the
He
first
can
round,
play
easy.
anywhere on the offensive line, any position. Uh, great athlete. You can use him in space. He can hold the edge, whatever. You can do whatever you want. He's about as flexible as it comes with a pick. Like doesn't really matter where you play him. Like he can go kind of anywhere. Then Nick Imawari out of South Carolina. Our college football analyst will be able to touch on this later.
Mhm.
He's a South Carolina guy, so he can talk about his playmaking ability. But this is a guy that tests insane, but then actually has the production to back it up. He's housing picks last year. I think he had 4 or 5 picks on the season and scored, I think, half of them basically. Brought him right back to the house. So, great player. He's a bit of a chess piece, but I think that they'll be able to find a place to use him. Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. This is like a legit 4-5 kind of tight end. Crazy long speed, good like long strider. He can block pretty well. Probably something that he will develop as he is kind of learning this. He was used out of the slot quite a bit at Miami, but good pass catcher. Literally, the only knock on him has been injuries. Without the injuries, I'm betting you might have seen him first round kind of talent. And lastly, Jalen Milroe. Obviously, we don't know how that'll pan out at quarterback, but even if he just ends up being used in packages, his dynamic ability. I mean, we've seen what Justin Fields can do in situations running the ball. This is a runner that I think is probably better than Justin Fields out of the quarterback position. Even if he doesn't throw the ball, it just adds an extra element to your offense. So just based on that I love it. And they ended up grabbing a guy in the 5th round, Torrey Horton out of Colorado State, who's a guy that I had pegged last week. Another guy I love. I think he's a great addition to this wide receiver class. And then Ricky White, also another wide receiver I love out of UNLV later on. He may end up just being like a return specialist guy. I'm not really sure, but both of them fast dudes, dynamic players. This was just a fun class for the Seattle Seahawks.
Love it. I mean, that was a lot of in-depth knowledge and information for the people out there. I got a couple different ones here. I'm gonna go number 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I love their first round pick, Emeka Ibuka. He's not gonna be their top guy. I mean, they got Godwin, they got Evans, they got Bucky Irving in the backfield. There's just another weapon to give Baker. He had a great season last year. He was in MVP contention for a while. So give Baker another weapon. He's gonna have a great year. And then after that wide receiver pick, they just go defense hard, cornerback, 2 edge rushers in round 4 and 5. I think Tampa Bay's going for it. Their division's weak. I mean, I really see Tampa Bay having a good year. I like this. I like their picks. They went with their one star offensive pick and then heavy on the defense, which they really needed. At number 2, I agree with you. New England might be a homer pick, but I think everyone around the league can just say like New England had a great draft. You get Will Campbell, number 4, pick, offensive tackle. Not a sexy pick, but this guy's going to be in New England for 10, 12 years. I mean, I saw a video of him taking down Jihad Campbell, the Alabama player, on tape. Like, this guy, he's going to be like, you're going to look at him at the end of the year and be like, damn, like he only let up 1 sack. Holy crap. I'm pumped about that pick. Trayvon Henderson, another good running back. I'm not a huge Ramondre fan. He's got too many fumbles for me. So I like Henderson going forward. Kyle Williams, speed, 3rd round. Got the center out of Georgia. I really like what New England's doing here. We're shoring up that offensive line, giving Drake May some security. And we got some weapons now. I mean, Diggs, Demario Douglas, Kyle Williams, Mac Hollins, Hunter Henry, Ramondre, Henderson, Drake May. Like, this is a team that can sneak into the playoffs. You said it a couple of weeks ago. New England's looking good, especially with Vrabel coming in there. I like what they're doing. Number 1, I love what the Buffalo Bills have done. As a New England fan, I don't love it, but just in the draft, I love it. Their first round pick, cornerback out of Kentucky, Maxwell Hairston. Dude, just ton of energy. I love his personality. Did you see that he congratulated every guy picked before him? That just speaks volumes to me that he's a great person, not just a great player. And then Buffalo just went hardcore defense, defensive tackle, defensive end, defensive tackle, defensive back. They were the number 1 scoring offense last year. They don't need offense. They got Josh Allen. They got James Cook. They're going to run the ball. They're going to let Josh do his thing. They needed defensive help with injuries. I love what they did. I think Buffalo, I mean, they've got to be one of the 3 or 4 teams favored to win the Super Bowl this year based on what they already have and in that draft. All right. Those were the top 3 best drafts. What do you think of that? Tampa Bay and
Yeah, that's pretty. It's pretty bad when your fumbling issues are so rough that they start Antonio Gibson over
yeah,
you. That
yeah.
is
I'm not a Ramondre Stevenson
that's
fan. I
not a
mean,
good
yeah.
situation.
All right, let's get into worst draft. Start with 3 and work down to 1.
Number 3, this was kind of shocking to me based on how they've been in previous years, but I've actually got the Detroit Lions here. I did not really love what they did. I think their board fell. Like I think they got a little unlucky. They really needed a guard, and I think they were very surprised to see like Booker and um, Jackson, who went to the Vikings, gone before their slot. I think they really thought Jackson would be there, and so they kind of ended up in no man's land. They ended up taking Tyleik Williams, not a bad player out of Ohio State, but it was a bit of a reach. I think they were just kind of stuck in no man's land. Nobody really wanted to move up. This was actually a spot where I thought they would be the team to move down for the Giants or move back for the Giants. But the Giants had already moved up to take Dart. So just kind of an awkward situation. They did loop it back. I thought they really saved it a little bit with their second round pick, Tate Ratledge. I think he's a very good player out of Georgia, guard. I think he's a perfect fit for Dan Campbell and what they want to do. So that was a good pick. The rest of the draft was kind of they grabbed Lovett out of Georgia as well. He's had like drop issues. Not a huge fan there. They traded like a lot of draft capital to move up in the third and grab a wide receiver out of Arkansas, which I mean, fine, maybe he pans out, like really good athlete, fast. But like that dude probably would have been there fourth or fifth round. Like I don't know if you need to be sending like multiple thirds for that. I thought that was a bit odd. Um, it's the Lions. They may prove me wrong based on how they've been lately, but I didn't love what I was seeing here.
Okay. Number 2, who you got?
Number 2, I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers.
Popular one, popular pick.
Yeah, I thought the board fell pretty well for them at 11. I thought I was sitting there like, I cannot believe Jalen Walker made it all the way to the 49ers at 11. This is like best case scenario for them. And then they turned around and took Michael Williams, who's like kind of had a decent season because of Jalen Walker. Like it didn't make a lot of sense to me. He is a bigger guy, so I guess maybe they wanted that size, but uh, time will tell if that pays off. I thought there were better options there at the time. I do like the Nick Martin pick in the third round. I think he is a good athlete, flies around the field, played at Oklahoma State. I think that's a good player as long as he's staying healthy. I think he fits in that system. There are a few dart throws I was a little surprised to see. A few takes early. The Jordan Watkins pick in the fourth round was a bit crazy to me. Like I feel like a lot of people didn't even see that guy necessarily getting drafted, and he went in the fourth round, which seemed like a bit of a reach. The Jordan James pick in the fifth round, I like that. I think he's a perfect fit for that system out of Oregon. So there were a couple decent picks in here, but enough head scratchers where I didn't really love what they did. They had a lot of picks, they had a lot of opportunity to do good things, and I'm really only seeing like 2 or 3 picks here that I really like.
And let's get into that one spot. Worst draft of the 2025 calendar year.
I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams.
Woo, yeah,
Just
okay.
not loving what they did. Ferguson. Now this is a bit unfair because I'm maybe not crediting them and picking up an extra first as much. I'm just kind of looking at what they acquired. Picking up an extra first next year, obviously very big, could be very good, and that really could pay off if I believe it was Atlanta they traded back for. I believe Atlanta came up to get Pierce out of Tennessee. And so the Rams picked up an extra first. If Atlanta sucks this year, which is actually very possible, this may end up just being awesome because they might end up having like a free top 10 pick out of it. But outside of that, the players they took, a lot of question marks to me. Ferguson, like decent tight end, good pass catcher, but I thought there were maybe a couple other tight ends on the
Yeah, I think
board,
maybe they have some
maybe a little
concern for
better.
Higbee getting a little older, but
I don't hate the position. I just thought there were a couple better tight end options at the
okay.
time. And then Hunter went a little bit early, running back wise. Like it just nothing about this class really wowed me. There's just a whole lot of like C picks to even worse. There was only 6 picks in this draft. The Rams just they don't really value the draft that
They
much.
do, I was just gonna
They
say the
really
Rams
just don't
don't
care.
value the
Like,
draft. They just
that's
don't
what
care. They're
it
just like
feels like
first
to me.
round picks. Yeah, we'll just whatever. I mean, they're
Yeah, we'll grab some guys, figure it out later, and sign some dudes for big money. I don't know.
all right. I'm gonna get into my worst drafts top 3. At number 3, I'm gonna go Cleveland Browns. I mean, you had the number 2 pick. You had an opportunity to get Hunter here. You traded it away. You get Mason Graham, fine, good player, but Abdul Carter next to Miles Garrett would have been cool. Travis Hunter would have been cool, but yeah, you get Quinshawn Judkins, good player. I like that. But then you get another running back, Dylan Sampson, in the 4th round. You take Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, which, you know what, I'm fine with y'all taking a quarterback in the 3rd round, but why Dylan Gabriel? It feels like there was a lot of better options other than him. And then obviously that's where Shador falls in the 5th round. Cleveland takes him. It honestly felt to me like 4 or 5 different people in the Cleveland Browns organization got to make a draft pick, and they were just like, okay, it's your turn. Okay, it's your turn. Okay, it's your turn. And by the time they got to Shador, like, you could tell the way they reacted when they picked, like, the owner called them and said, you take him right now or y'all are gone. Like, Shador is on the Cleveland Browns because the owner told them to draft him. I don't get it. They have 5 quarterbacks on the roster. They definitely didn't want Shador. You drafted 2 running backs. You got Dylan Gabriel. The Cleveland Browns never fail to mess up the draft. I texted your caddy. Your caddy is a Cleveland Browns fan, Jeff. I said, "What do you guys think of these picks?" He said, "We love these picks. When they first come, we love them, and then when it doesn't work out, we move on to the next guy." So it sounds like they have ultimate optimism when they come, and then about a year or 2 passes, and they're like, ultimate optimism for the next guy because none of them ever
Yeah.
work.
Well, that's what Jeff said. His quote was, "I've never hated a Cleveland Browns draft ever." And so what does that tell you? Like, how many times have they won? Like,
Yeah.
is
All right, I'm gonna move on to number 2. I got Minnesota Vikings here. They got in the 1st round, they got a guard out of Ohio State. Okay, you got a rookie quarter, or yeah, I guess technically still a rookie quarterback.
basically his rookie year. Yeah, that's fine.
So I don't hate that pick. No 2nd round pick. They have a 3rd round pick and grab Ty Felton. Great wide receiver, no problems with him, but I don't like the team that he's going to. You got Addison, Jefferson, Naylor, and Hawkinson. Like, I get that you have a rookie quarterback and you want to put weapons around him, but I don't understand that pick at all. And then, like you said earlier in the podcast, like, they just didn't have many picks. So round 5, edge, and then 2 picks in the 6th round. As we know, rounds 5 through 7, like, you're probably not getting a ton of starters here. So the Vikings to me just like didn't add a ton. I think they're gonna struggle this year. They won a lot of close games last year. I don't think they got much better. Uh, they got Sam Howell as the 2nd string backup right now. If JJ McCarthy gets hurt at all, like, I could see Sam Howell playing half the season for the Vikings, and this is just like a 5 or 6 win football team now. I did not like what the Minnesota Vikings did. At number 1, I am going the Houston Texans. This just makes absolutely no sense. They traded away their 1st round pick. I mean, I guess if they don't like the options that are there, fine, but didn't make sense to me. And then they go and take a wide receiver, and they wait till the bottom of the 2nd round to take an offensive lineman out of Minnesota. They really needed to go offensive line. I thought they would do it in the 1st round. They didn't. They only ended up grabbing 1 overall in the 2nd round. They grabbed 2 wide receivers overall out of Iowa State, and then grabbed Graham Mertz in the 6th round, quarterback out of Florida. Go look at their depth chart right now. They have 12 wide receivers on the depth chart. Doesn't make sense. They have a bad O-line. All the defensive pieces they drafted probably aren't even really starters. The defense is where they need help. They got Mixon. They got Pierce at running back. Just get your O-line better. I don't get what they're doing here. Unless I see a tough year for the Texans incoming based on what they did. I didn't think they need to go and grab these 2 wide receivers out of Iowa State. If CJ Stroud's like as good as he's supposed to be, he can make some of these weapons work. I think they just should have bolstered up that O-line a little better than they did. What do you think of those 3 there?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm surprised the Texans didn't loop back and grab more offensive linemen late.
Absolutely.
I think the trade back made sense the way the line board was falling at the time. Really, the only thing they could have done was maybe grab Simmons, who ended up going to Kansas City. But I know there were injury concerns there, so it's possible they didn't even have him on their board. And if that's the case, then I kind of understand why they traded back down. The kid out of Minnesota, huge kid. I think he could end up being a very good tackle for them. Um, Obviously, like Tank Dell may not even play this year. So grabbing extra wide receivers, I'm not against. Higgins, I love as a player. I think he's fantastic. Very much in the Nico Collins mold. So interesting that they have 2 very, very similar wide receivers going there. But I am very surprised they didn't address offensive line a little bit more afterwards either.
All right, let's go into the draft winners. So, draft winners, these are players or coaches, people that are already in the league that are super happy, definitely won out of the draft. Who do you got?
Starting off at top, I already talked about him, but Drake May, huge winner this week. The Patriots did exactly what they needed to do to basically put him in a position to succeed. They got him offensive line help, they got him running back help, they got him wide receiver help. This is what they had to do. They went out and did it. I think you're going to see a pretty good year from Drake May.
I agree. I have that down here as well. He was pressured on 37% of his snaps last year, most in the NFL. So let's get that number down. I think they got a lot of good pieces to help do that. Who
Yeah.
else you got? Anyone else?
You also talked about Baker Mayfield, or you talked about the Buccaneers. I think Baker Mayfield's a winner. I don't know if it was the best decision for Tampa Bay to keep going wide receiver, but they do have a couple older wide receivers with that have been well. Mike Evans has not been injury prone, but he is older. Chris Godwin has been injury prone, so grabbing Ed Hegbuka, will help that. They grabbed Tez Johnson late, which is just another piece there. This is setting up to be another nice year for Baker Mayfield. I feel like we're probably going to see another solid performance. I don't know if it'll be MVP level kind of stuff, but
Could be
I bet he's
a
putting up big
touchdown
numbers again
passing
this
leader or
year.
something. Yeah. I got
Uh,
Baker on here too. Yeah. The weapons he's got, throw Jalen McMillan in there. Yeah, I like Baker winning out of this draft. Anyone else?
yeah, I'm gonna throw Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rollis as the DC for the Arizona Cardinals. Gannon's also a
Mm,
defensive guy. I love what the Cardinals did in this draft. I thought they had a fantastic draft. Their
yep.
first three picks, they ripped Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, and Jordan Birch out of Oregon. These are three good defensive players. I like all of the players. Johnson fell because of injury concerns, but I mean, this is a guy that was potentially like a top 5 pick before any of that came out. If he ends up being fine, I mean, this is a home run for them. 6 of their 7 picks on the defensive side. This is really going to help Arizona, and obviously defensive head coach and defensive coordinator got to be happy about that. Next, I'm gonna go Tyler Shook. Got picked in the second round by the Saints. Derek Carr potentially just might not be playing. So this is a guy that some people thought would be like a mid-round pick. Instead, now he's getting second-round money. He literally might be going into a team where he is just straight up the starter, and he's going to a team that just drafted their future left tackle. So he'll be protected by Kelvin Banks. Like that's about as good as he probably could have drawn it up for how his draft went. So I'm gonna put him there as a winner. And then my last one, I'm gonna say Chase Brown for the Cincinnati Bengals. Big old winner. They did not draft a running back until the 6th round. They took Taj Brooks, who's another undersized guy.
It
Like
was a
I'm
question. I
thinking
thought they would have got someone sooner.
Chase Brown, like he's kind of going to be your workhorse. They also went out, got Jalen Rivers and Dylan Fairchild. Fairchild out of Georgia, road grade guard. Jalen Rivers out of Miami. He's like a flex guy. He's played tackle. He's played guard. He's even been trained at center. It's a very real possibility he could play center in the NFL. Both these guys are good offensive linemen. So, yeah, I would put Chase Brown as a big old winner for this draft.
All right, last one I'm gonna throw in there is Aaron Rodgers. Pitt takes Will Howard, but they take him very late, signaling Rodgers, come on in. So I think he lands there. Aaron Rodgers has got to be a big winner. All right, let's move to the other side. So we got the losers of the draft, coaches, players already in the league that are pissed off about what just happened in the draft. Give me them.
Oh, I think the most clear one was Shador Sanders. Just not only does he has have the disappointment of falling all the way to the 5th round, how in front of everything it was. I mean, it was the draft almost became secondary to what is going on with Shador. What is this like? I mean, that's just kind of embarrassing at the point. Like for him, like this is like yes, one it sucks because you were hoping to go 1st round, you're hoping to see all this stuff, and now you're falling. But now everybody's kind of rubbing in your face. Everybody's talking about it, and then the whole prank call thing happens, and that all blows up. Like the whole thing just, I mean, it's supposed to be one of the best days of your life, and this probably turned into like one of the worst weekends for him. So definitely a loser there. He's going to Cleveland, which honestly is not the worst landing spot considering like he has a chance to like potentially even be starting games this year. But still, the way everything went down, he is definitely a loser this week.
I'm gonna
Uh,
put you're talking about Cleveland. I'm gonna throw Joe Flacco in there. I think he's a loser. He just went from starting quarterback to official babysitter slash teacher
yeah,
of the quarterback room in Cleveland. I don't know if he would have signed up for that. I got a couple other quarterbacks I'm gonna throw in here. Russell Wilson. he can't be pumped about going to the Giants. I mean, Jameis is not a real threat, but like Jackson Dart, like if Russell, doesn't play great, like there's going to be pressure to start Jackson Dart, and that's just what it is. Um, yeah, you got anyone else?
Yeah, my last one, and this is honestly um, probably my biggest loser of the entire thing. It's got to be Mel Kiper.
Yeah.
Um, how he was acting the entire time was one of the most bizarre pieces of TV I have ever seen.
Hmm.
It was completely unprofessional. It didn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand if, like, maybe I just don't understand him, but like, why does it even matter if you're wrong? Like, it seemed like he was so upset because he was wrong. Not like, I mean, yes, he was upset for like Shador, but he was upset because that was like his fifth overall player. Like, dude, you're like the weatherman. Like everybody expects you to be wrong. Like you don't have to be right. Like all you got to do is just show off that you know everybody. So like when somebody drafts somebody, you can tell us about them. Like
Right.
we don't care if your mock draft is wrong. We don't care if you have your players like graded wrong. Like whatever. Like it was crazy to me that he couldn't wrap his head around that teams didn't want to deal with all this extra drama. They didn't want to take a player that has like kind of day two tape, in my opinion, with like off field distractions. Like,
It doesn't add. It just
I,
the math doesn't math. Like if it, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I would not be surprised if that was his last draft he ever does. Like,
Mm,
it was. I've never seen anything like that on TV. Like, he could not handle what was going down.
yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest storylines of the draft. And when you're not really part of the draft and you're one of the biggest storylines, it's
Yeah,
like you're refereeing a game. Like if you're a referee, you want no one to know that you're the
your
referee.
name. Yeah,
Yeah. So like
yeah,
if no one knows who you are, you did a great job.
yeah.
All right. Second biggest story of the draft, besides for Shador, Mel Kiper. What's the second biggest story out of this draft? It wasn't sexy, but what's another story that really hit you?
Uh, I I thought like the prank call stuff
Okay.
was crazy. Like the way that that went down, the way that they investigated it, found the kid, it came all the way down to that. Which I guess that's also tied in with kind of the Mel Kiper stuff because it was about Shador, so it all blew up. Like it, it just became like a whole media storm. I feel like.
Hmm. Absolutely. Uh, Second biggest story for me, Milrow to Seattle. Pick number 92. I like it. I think it's something we're gonna forget about for a little bit, and then in a year or so, like he might turn into a real player. And probably be a better football player than Sam Darnold is potentially. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right. Aaron Rodgers kind of already mentioned it. Lock for Pitt. Lock. Sorry, a lock for Pittsburgh. What are the percentages on that? 100%, 50%. What do you think?
If he doesn't end up in Pittsburgh, they got to run like Wildcat this year. I think. Like, I feel pretty confident that he's going there. I think the way the draft went was pretty telling. It's more of a matter of when, not if, for me.
All right. Well, that was some really great draft information out of you there, Andrew. I'm gonna bring in college professional football analyst Patrick Taco Taiedo. Patrick, are you there?
Yo, can y'all hear me?
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
Can you
Uh,
see me?
we can see
yeah.
you. How are you
Perfect.
doing?
Great. Congrats, Nani. That was the second most nervous I've been watching you in a golf tournament. First was last year in Japan, just making sure you were getting through all 72 holes for me. So appreciate you doing that for me.
Uh,
But congrats on the big win with Ben this weekend, and hopefully the first of many.
well, thank you.
All
For
right.
those that
So
don't remember, Taco made some very interesting promises if I didn't make the cut at a no cut event and failed to remember that I actually had to finish the event or else he was going to be was it the Florida State bird poop
it
was
was.
yeah or no not sorry dog poop in a solo cup or something yeah.
I
Mhm.
am just glad you were playing well because if you were at the bottom of the board, I was worried that you were just going to mail it in and just do some sightseeing.
I got through it for you.
All
Appreciate it.
right. Taco, you just heard us. We talked about best drafts, worst drafts. You're big college football guy. professional college football analyst. Let's hear your opinions on this. Who do you think had the best draft of this season?
So I had the Seahawks as well, but I don't really want to repeat everything Nani had. So I'll kind of go with a different team that y'all didn't take, the Baltimore Ravens.
I like it. They were an honorable mention in my head, right outside that top three. Give me your reasons why Baltimore had a great draft.
So start out, Malachi Starks out of Georgia, one of the leaders of that defense, going to be really solid in that organization. And then Mike Green out of Marshall, he slipped a lot. There's definitely some red flags there. If he would have gone somewhere like the Jets or the Browns, I would be a little bit more concerned. But I feel like Harbaugh can get him in line up in Baltimore, and that's a good fit for them. Then third round, they got the better of the Emory Joneses that played college football. I think the QB from that was in at Florida is finally done.
He played okay in Cincinnati. He wasn't that bad. He actually had like some decent games.
He was at Arizona State too. I don't know if he's still got a COVID year, but one of the most overhyped SEC quarterbacks I've ever seen. But Emory Jones, offensive tackle out of LSU, is who they got in the third round. And then further down the board, I think of the Colorado trio of wide receivers that got drafted, I'm going to mess up his first name. LeJontay Wester was the best, I think, by far. I think compared to Will Shepherd and Jimmy Horn, I think Baltimore got the best of the three there. So I would say the Ravens, in addition to everything that Nani said about the Seahawks, is the two best drafts.
I love that. All right, give me your worst drafts and why.
So I think Nani's going to push back on me here. I do not like the Panthers draft at all.
Why is that?
They go with Tet in the first round. They've got a pretty high draft pick, and
T-Mac. That's what his mom says.
T-Mac or Tet? Which one is it?
It's T-Mac. She was very adamant. Well, or his actual name, Tethero, but we're calling him T-Mac.
The only thing I like about it is he got a little bit taller quarterback coming with him in Bryce Young. But he doesn't have his high school buddy.
It's going to be coming from that same arm slot.
He doesn't have his high school buddy just throwing the ball to him. I heard some things with the staff changes when Shed Fish left at Arizona. Tet was, I'm still going to call him Tet, but he was not a great in the locker room guy. It just didn't, and especially with the Panthers, they had the worst defense in the league, and they're getting a wide receiver. I didn't understand the pick at all.
I really thought we were going Jalen Walker too. I thought it was like a lock, but
you thought you were trading back and Shador was going.
I said that on the podcast, yes. But in the moment, I really thought we were just going to take Jalen Walker. But anyway.
All right, Taco. You got anyone
continue.
Else?
Wait, how do you feel about like Nick Scorton or
Scorton? I'm fine with Princely. I think they're okay. Trevor Etienne, I'm not a fan of that pick. I'll go through some running backs y'all could have gotten way later in the draft that is better than
there were
Trevor
multiple.
Etienne.
Dylan Sampson would have been nice to grab there.
And then I already kind of touched on how I felt about Jimmy Horn.
Yeah, that's fine. The Panthers drafted very heavily directly to needs. That's pretty much all we grabbed for the most part. We probably grabbed more offense than I expected, but it was specifically to needs. It just basically comes down to whether the players pan out or not.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm harsh about y'all not drafting a defensive guy in the first round, but Matt Rule drafted all defensive players a couple years ago, and look where it's gotten y'all.
The one thing I will say, like, I feel like how people rate the Panthers draft comes a lot down to how people rate T-Mac, because people I've kind of found are very all over the place on him. Some people think he's like by far the best wide receiver in the class. Some people think he's like maybe third or fourth, and they got question marks there. So I think a lot of it really will come down to how that pick specifically pans out.
Sounds good.
All right. Late round players that you think people got to keep an eye on. I mean, when we get into this college draft, you start getting to the rounds 4, 5, 6, 7. People start to lose track of these names, don't know where these players are coming from schools. Who are some late round guys that we really got to keep an eye on?
So I mentioned running backs earlier. There are a bunch that were in the last 2 rounds that I really like. First off, Kyle Monungai, Chicago Bears. He's been at Rutgers, and he basically was their entire offense. But Greg Schiano was just feeding him the rock. He hasn't had a quarterback that could throw the ball the past 3 years at all on that roster. Monungai is going to be a really fun guy to watch, and I think the Bears fans, like, he'll be a fan favorite for sure there. Nani already touched on his guy. I know I've already hated on one of his teams, but Damien Martinez, I think, with the Seahawks is going to be really solid. Started his career on the West Coast for Oregon State before transferring to Miami. And I think with him being a strong, powerful back, he'll fit well with Kenneth Walker, and I'd expect him to be pretty high up on that depth chart. A third running back who has dropped significantly was projected maybe first round at certain points last year, and I think he went in the 6th round this year. Ollie Gordon out of Oklahoma State. I think that's a good fit with the Dolphins. I think they'll be able to scheme up some runs with him there, like they have with Mostert and some of their other backs. I think he can fit in their system really well. So I know he slid a lot, but I think that's a solid fit there. Another player that Nani mentioned, Ricky White, is one of my favorite receivers in the draft. This guy does it all on special teams. I think he maybe led the country in blocked punts. I know UNLV played almost every Friday night last year, and I swear he had a blocked punt every other game. So he'll be definitely an upgrade for them on special teams, and I expect him to fill in a little bit at wide receiver. And this one's not really a slide in the draft. He's 3rd round, but from a smaller school, Harold Fannin Jr. to the Browns. I think he's the best tight end in the draft.
Really?
Yes. He had great numbers. I think he led the country in receiving yards and receptions, and you can credit that to them.
That's not as a tight end. That's
yes,
led all wide receivers.
Yes,
as a tight end. Yeah,
and you can just say, oh, that's all against the MAC, but he also played against Penn State and Texas A&M last year, 2 very solid defensive teams, and they knew he was going to be getting the ball the whole game, and he still put up solid numbers in those games. So I know the Browns had a pretty controversial draft, but I think they got that pick correct.
Love it. All right, let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum here. Who are some guys that went early, around 1, 2, that like you just don't get, you don't understand, and you think it's a complete bust?
I'll quit harping on T-Mac. I'll shut up about him for now. Tyler Shuck, I do not like that pick at all by the Saints. The only thing I do like about it is being a Spencer Rattler fan. I know he can beat Tyler Shuck out, so that could be a positive. But he was in college for 6 years. He only started 1 full year because he was injured pretty much the whole time, bouncing around from Oregon, Texas Tech, and then finished up at Louisville, which everyone puts up good numbers in Jeff Brom's offense. Plummer was a quarterback last year, and I think Nani, wasn't he on the Panthers? Or
he was maybe one of the worst preseason quarterbacks I've ever seen, ever. Like,
yeah,
like the offense was like so unbelievably bad when he was on the field.
Brom can put up numbers with any. I mean, he was putting up great numbers with quarterbacks at Purdue. I think a couple of them bounced around the NFL, Aiden O'Connell, but I just don't see it with Shuck. He's older, and the upside I don't think is there. Like, if I was taking a chance on the guy, I don't like any of these quarterbacks early, but Milroe would have been the one I would take a chance on because he's at least got some sort of a ceiling with his game, and you could also move him to wide receiver, which kind of funny that he's out in Seattle, kind of like where Terrell Pryor ended up after switching from quarterback.
Yeah.
So, and then my last one I had was Amarian Hampton to the Chargers. I'm not huge on Hampton in general, but I also didn't like the fit there with the Chargers because they Najee Harris, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep, Najee Harris will be 1, Omarion will be 2. I mean, the Chargers like a run game. They like that play action.
Just try to pound the rock. I think they draft receivers for the Chargers, but I just didn't
took some good pass catchers later on. I think they actually looped back and kind of saved it a bit. But yeah, I see what you're
saying. Those are my 3 big ones there.
They grabbed Trey Harris in the 2nd round, which is a good pick. He was a good wide receiver for Ole Miss. But the Rondé Gadsden pick in the 5th round, I think, is a really good one. He's a tight end that can win one-on-one, contested catch, runs well. He's more of like your slot tight end. And then they grabbed Keandre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn, started at Penn State, I believe, before he ended up there, speedster. So
Awesome. Now, do you want me to go to quarterbacks, Grennis?
Yeah, Taco, quarterbacks. Are there any quarterbacks that you really like the landing spot for? You think they're going to succeed? I mean, I know there's not a ton in this draft, but are there any that you really liked where they landed?
So I decided to get a little creative and off the wall here. So the first quarterback I'm going to go with, I'm going to see if Nani can guess it, is an undrafted quarterback. Here.
Okay. I'm trying to even think who the undrafted quarterbacks were.
If I give you the team he got picked up by, will that help?
Probably not, because I really have not looked at the undrafteds. But
so the Jacksonville Jaguars picked up Seth Hennigan out of Memphis.
Memphis, yeah.
And I could see him kind of fill in that Brock Purdy type role where super later undrafted, but he's 4-year start at Memphis, put up a bunch of big numbers. I thought he was a lot better than some of the quarterbacks that got picked late. And I think with his experience, Trevor's been battling some injuries. Is Mac Jones still on the
Mac
Jags,
Jones,
or is he bounced around?
he is on the
No,
49ers.
he's on the 49ers.
Okay.
Yeah.
They
So-
have
But I could see
literally
him,
was at the Jags game when he was starting last year. He's been there for a bit though.
It's not Beathard, is it?
Yes, thank you.
Wow,
CJ
he's been in the
Beathard.
league for a while. I forgot about that name. But yeah, I could see him not being like a starter, but for being an undrafted guy, making his way on the depth chart at quarterback.
Those are those little nuggets we love. I mean, if we didn't bring professional college football analyst Taco in, I would have never heard quarterback out of Memphis to Jacksonville. Keep an eye on it.
All right.
What else you got?
Confirmed he is gone now. Nick Mullins is actually the backup there now. So
All right.
Interesting quarterback
that's
room
winnable.
there. So a couple guys next I'll go to that could just be due to injuries, but I like the fit of the teams they're on. First is Curtis Rourke with the Niners. He was amazing at Ohio. They won, I think they won the MAC his last 2 years there. And then he transferred to Indiana and got them to the playoffs with Coach Sig.
Yep.
And he was a lot less mobile last year, and it turns out he was hurt for a good bit of the season. But being at the 49ers, I mean, you've seen what Shanahan can do with quarterbacks. So you never know if his name is called, could work out there. And then another guy I wanted to just touch on because I just think he made a stupid decision, wanted to get y'all's input on it, was Quinn Ewers going in the 7th round to the Dolphins. I mean, he was at Texas. He had more eligibility. It seemed like they wanted Arch to be the starter there. But there's stories of Michigan State offered him $4 million to stay in college.
So I heard today that Quinn Ewers is so well respected at Texas that he didn't want to tarnish that legacy by going to another school. And he just accepted that wherever he was going to be drafted, he was going to be drafted. Even if that's turning down more money. It's crazy, but that's what I've been told.
I do think he landed in a good spot. Like,
yes.
I legitimately think he.
Oh, absolutely. I think,
like,
yeah.
Even though he's a 7th round pick, like, I think he's probably just straight up your backup quarterback. And if your starting quarterback is Tua, like, you're probably going to be playing some games. So
the only thing I worry about him is his arm strength. It seems like ever since he got hurt 2 years ago, he's got a bit of a noodle arm where on those deep balls, that ball is just floating in the air forever.
That's
a noodle arm. Well, I love it.
The wide receivers in Miami know a little something about a noodle arm, so it won't be any different.
And then last guy I just wanted to mention, Kyle McCord, Philadelphia Eagles. I love Kyle McCord. Even though Ohio State won the title last year, I still think they did him dirty. He would have won the national championship if he was Ohio State's quarterback as well. And I think that's a good landing spot in Philly for him to learn the system and maybe move his way up the depth chart or get a shot somewhere else at some point.
All right. We appreciate you giving us all that great information. I mean, some of that stuff I didn't even know about, but one more question before you go. Way too early, 2026, first overall draft pick. Who do you think it's going to be?
I mean, selfishly, I'm just going to go with my guy, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina, the second coming of Cam Newton. I don't know how much you've watched him play, Grennis. As long as he can keep the turnovers down, that's his one issue that he's had. But last year's his first year as a starter. He was very under-recruited coming out of the high school, flipped from Syracuse to stay at home in South Carolina late. And
the Florence guy?
Yep, South Florence High School. But he is, for his size, one of the fastest athletes I've ever seen. I first really came on the scene when game day came to Columbia versus LSU last year, and he broke out for an 80-yard run. And if he didn't get hurt, we were going to win that game. Some other things that I won't get into with that, but
just go watch the tape from the Clemson game, Grennis. You'll see all you need to see. You'll see stupid turnover mistakes. You'll see just a defense that has no idea how to stop him when he starts running. It'll be the perfect. That's all you need to see.
Love it.
That's if I'm gonna go someone with that's not a homer pick. It's hard to. There's always a quarterback that just kind of pops up. Like Joe Burrow wasn't projected to get drafted, and he went number 1. So I couldn't really find any super off the radar ones. The guy who I've been waiting to take the jump is actually also LSU guy, Garrett Nussmeier. So I think that would be the other quarterback in the mix for the first pick. So those are probably my 2 guys for that.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you coming in, giving the people what they want, the insider information on these college players who just got drafted, and even some of them who didn't get drafted, but we really appreciate it. That was Taco's second time hopping in here on the podcast. We love it when he comes in, and we'll probably get him back here in the fall. Or
yeah, appreciate you having me on. I thought I was going to get dropped from coverage with Nani's good play the last 2 weeks. I mean, Amanda Balionis giving shout outs on the broadcast. He's even got the shotgun start guys trying to get on the show. So hopefully I'll be able to stay in the rotation, but it sounds like y'all have got some guys lined up that want to join the show. So congrats on all the growth there.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We will have you back on soon. All right, Andrew. That was nice having Taco, and he has some good nuggets that I don't even realize. I mean, he's a big Gamecocks fan, big SEC football guy. That guy hurts his bookies. That guy hurts his bookies.
Minutes watched of college football, I'm putting him up versus anybody. Like Thursday night, Friday night, Wednesday night, Maction, like he's there. So
the amount of like texts I get from him where it's just like, yeah, I put $20 on this and won an 8-game parlay in college football. I'm just like, it's unbelievable. All right, let's get into professional fantasy football. All right. Fantasy football impact. These are going to be rookies only. So this would be good information for your dynasty leagues. But just fantasy football in general. Fantasy football rookies to draft. Who